You must believe that you can do it before you actually do it. Michael Jordan. A seed is sown into the heart, small but carrying resilient life, quietly breaking through the hard soil of doubt to reach toward the light. Belief here is not blind self-deception, but the first flame ignited in the darkness, warm enough to dare one step, then another. When there are no results yet, belief acts like a map drawn by intuition, guiding us through the foggy turns of fear and hesitation. It whispers that failure is not the end, but merely a comma in a longer story. Believing in one's own ability is like a mountain climber, trusting their feet before taking the first step on the cliff. Without belief, all strength scatters. With it, every muscle awakens, every breath gains purpose. We are responsible for our dreams through inner perseverance. In belief lies the light of hope, the discipline of action, and even gentleness toward oneself when the destination is not yet reached. Success does not fall from the sky, but is born from the moment we dare to believe, dare to begin, and dare to see it through. Pay attention to where you are going, because without meaning, you might not get anywhere. Milne. The bell rings amid the hustle of life, forcing people to slow down and ask, what am I walking for? Life is never short of movement, but movement without direction only leaves us spinning in exhaustion. Without a clear destination, every step, no matter how effortful, easily becomes aimless, like a boat setting sail without a compass, only to be carried away by waves without knowing where it's drifting. Meaning is the red thread running through the journey of life, connecting everyday small tasks into a larger picture with order and value. When we are aware of our direction, difficulties are no longer mere obstacles, but tests to forge resilience. And failure is no longer meaningless loss, but a necessary lesson on the chosen path. It does not deny experimentation or getting lost, but emphasizes that awareness is indispensable. Awareness to know what we are doing, where we are going, and whether it is truly worth our time, energy, and heart. In the light of that attention, people find sustainable motivation, because when the path holds meaning, every step has a reason to continue. And even when the destination is still far, one feels at peace, knowing they are not wandering unconsciously, but living a purposeful journey with depth and true value. The first step to building the life you want is to get rid of everything you don't have. Joshua Becker. It does not encourage self-denial, but invites people to face reality with honest and calm eyes. Before dreaming of tall buildings, we need to know how wide the land we stand on is. Before painting a brilliant future, we need to set aside vague illusions about who we should be. Eliminating here is like cleaning a cluttered room, not to make it empty, but to create space for light and what is truly essential. When we accept that we are not yet good enough, not yet strong enough, not yet ready, the burden of comparison and self-blame gradually fades. In that acknowledgement, we find the most authentic starting point, where every effort has a solid foundation. Building does not start from dreaming, but from simplification. Simplifying unrealistic expectations, simplifying forced roles, simplifying the selves borrowed from others' gazes. When things that do not belong to us are let go, we become lighter, clearer, and braver to lay the first bricks for the desired life. It is a quiet but powerful process where honesty becomes a tool for creation, and the imperfect present becomes the most precious material for shaping the future. Mindset is the most important factor in your life. How you think will determine what your life is like. Harv Eker. People do not live only by what happens to them, but more by how they interpret and respond to those things. In the same situation, some see a wall blocking the way, others see a door waiting to be opened. The difference lies not in reality, but in mindset. Mindset is like the glasses we wear every day. If clouded by fear and pessimism, the world appears gray and narrow. If wiped clean with belief and a willingness to learn, life suddenly becomes open and full of possibilities. How we think affects emotions. Emotions guide actions, and repeated actions shape destiny. A seemingly simple but incredibly powerful chain. With a positive mindset, people do not avoid difficulties, but see them as necessary exercises for growth. With a limited mindset, the same difficulties become reasons to give up. The responsibility lies in choosing how to see, understand, and dialogue with oneself. When people start changing their mindset, the external world may not change immediately, but the inner world shifts. And from there, everything else gradually transforms. In that transformation, life is no longer a series of random events, but a vivid result of thoughts nurtured every day. There is only one way to fail. That is to give up. Donald Trump, a blade cutting through all the excuses people often use to reassure themselves. It does not deny the existence of difficulties, mistakes, or even painful falls, but points out the clear boundary between failure and the journey. Failure does not lie in going slow, going the wrong way, or stopping to catch breath. Failure only truly happens when we turn our back on the path we've chosen. Like a flame, dreams can blaze or flicker, but only extinguish when we snuff them out ourselves. Each time we do not give up, even if only advancing a small step, we are still in the game of life and growth. If failure only comes from giving up, then success always lies in the choice to continue. This does not promise an easy outcome, but offers deep consolation that silent efforts, exhausting days, moments of confusion are not yet the end. They are just bumpy stretches, forcing us to slow down, learn, and become stronger. When understanding that, people no longer fear mistakes, but fear letting go too soon. And that fear itself becomes motivation to stand up once more, to take another step. In that perspective, life is not measured by how many times we fall, but by how many times we refuse to give up. Where quiet perseverance turns fragile dreams into reality. The key to success is persistence, not speed. Tony Robbins. The river flows quietly through the years, not noisy, not hurried, but eventually wears down mountains and finds the vast sea. In the human journey, speed may bring momentary excitement, but only persistence creates depth and endurance. Slow but steady steps are like a stable heartbeat, sustaining life for dreams even when initial motivation fades. Persistence is not blind stubbornness, but the ability to return each day, to continue what needs to be done, even when no one applauds or recognizes. This saying helps us understand that success rarely comes from lightning breakthroughs, but is woven from countless ordinary moments where we choose not to give up. Those who go fast may arrive early, but those who endure go far. And in a long journey, the final distance is what matters. When absorbing that, people compare less with others, panic less about being slower, to focus on nurturing their own inner strength. Persistence thus becomes a form of quiet belief, believing that each small effort today, though unseen in results, is silently laying the foundation for tomorrow. In the light of that mindset, success is no longer an exhausting sprint, but a long journey where every steady step is worthy of respect and continuation. Confident people know they don't need to compare themselves to anyone else. They only compare themselves to who they were yesterday. Covey. A person stands firm amid the crowd without being swept into external measures, for they understand each life has its own rhythm. Comparing with others is like measuring ocean depth with a village pond ruler. Awkward and easy to forget one's true value. Confident people do not deny the existence of those better or more successful, but simply do not let that define themselves. They turn inward to look at yesterday's self, clumsier, weaker, less experienced, to realize they've advanced a step, however small. That comparison is constructive, like an honest mirror reflecting growth rather than a sentence of condemnation. In that journey, each mistake becomes data for learning, each progress a quiet encouragement. Confidence is not believing you're better than others, but believing in your own potential for improvement. When no longer obsessed with others' gazes or achievements, the mind lightens. Energy focuses on self-development rather than meaningless competition. Confident people walk at their own pace, slow or fast, as long as today is a bit better than yesterday. That focus creates deep peace. Peace in knowing you're on the right path, and peace in understanding your value isn't on any ranking. In that view, life becomes a persistent journey of self-improvement, where each passing day holds meaning as we gradually become a better version of ourselves. Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat. Steve Jobs, a mature and flexible perspective on a world always in motion. Change is like a strange wind blowing through familiar fields. If doors are shut tight in fear, we only hear the howling wind full of unease. But if opened to receive, we can feel the fresh air carrying seeds for future seasons. Innovation does not start from destroying all that is old, but from the courage to shift perspective, from defense to exploration. When viewing change as a threat, people easily shrink back, clinging to false safety and gradually left behind. When seeing it as opportunity, they begin to question, experiment, and learn, even knowing the road ahead isn't entirely certain. In that state, creative potential awakens, like light emerging only when daring to step out of familiar shadows. Innovation is not the privilege of geniuses, but the attitude of those ready to adapt. Each change, however small, carries an invitation to grow. Change in thinking, doing, or self-dialogue, when fear transforms into curiosity, pressure into motivation, and uncertainty into space for new possibilities, people not only survive, but evolve. In that positive view, innovation becomes a vibrant journey, where each shift, instead of causing worry, opens doors to a more flexible, insightful, and stronger version of ourselves. Do something new every day, even if small, to train your creative mind. Sharma, a small drop of water falling steadily onto a seemingly immovable stone. Novelty here does not require grand turns or dramatic changes, but appears in very ordinary choices. Trying a different route home, reading a few pages outside usual interests, or simply asking a different question about an old issue. Each small action is like light exercise for the mind, making it more flexible, sharper toward unimagined possibilities. A creative mind is not a birth gift for the few, but a mental muscle needing regular training. When repeating everything by habit, thinking gradually becomes sluggish, boxed in safe ruts. But with one small change each day, those ruts start cracking for light to seep in. An open and curious attitude toward life, where people allow themselves to try, fail, and learn without pressure to be perfect. That consistency is what matters. Small actions accumulating over time create a rich thinking system, ready to connect seemingly unrelated ideas. When doing something new each day, we not only nurture creativity, but also the joy of discovery, feeling alive and aware rather than drifting on autopilot. And then, at some point, we realize our mind has changed, more flexible before difficulties, softer before differences, and more confident facing the unknown. In that journey, creativity is no longer a distant goal, but a vibrant habit, growing bit by bit with us. We cannot create the new if we still hold on to the old. Henry Ford. The old is not just habits, beliefs, or familiar ways, but also the comfort zone where we feel protected from risk and uncertainty. But that safety, if clung to too long, becomes an invisible chain binding growth potential. A room crammed with old stuff. No matter how many new items we bring in, there's no place to put them if we don't clear out what's no longer valuable. Creativity, therefore, does not start from adding, but from daring to leave behind. Leaving behind outdated ways of thinking, beliefs once right in the past, but no longer fitting the present, and even fears disguised as stability. This does not mean denying the past. On the contrary, it's honoring the past by not letting it obstruct the future. When people dare to release the old, they create space. And that space is where the new can sprout. Innovation always comes with certain loss. Loss of familiarity, loss of absolute certainty, even loss of the old self-image. But in exchange is the chance to recreate, to see the world with fresher eyes. In the moment we accept letting go, life begins moving in a different direction, more flexible and open. And then we realize the new is not a luxury for grand turns, but the natural result of a mindset daring to depart from what has fulfilled its mission. When understanding that, people walk lighter, wiser, and ready to embrace the future as an unwritten creative space.